$35.7 billion. Take a second and just let that number really sink in. Now, you might be thinking that sounds like the GDP of a small country, and well, you would be right. But here, it's actually the annual revenue of just one single video game company, Tencent. If you're still picturing gaming as this kind of niche hobby happening in dimly lit basements, consider that illusion totally shattered. The global video game industry is an absolute economic juggernaut.
Okay, let's dive into this explainer. Today, we're taking a massive tour of the global gaming ecosystem. We're going to be crisscrossing the world, checking out how regional startups evolved into these sprawling global empires, how business models clashed and shifted, and how the very definition of a blockbuster game is being rewritten right in front of our eyes. Here's our roadmap for the tour. First, the global gaming giants. 2, Finland's mobile game boom. 3, the free-to-play revolution. 4, China's AAA premium breakout. 5, shifting gamer preferences. And finally, 6, the future of global gaming.
Section 1. The global gaming giants. To really get how this industry ticks, we need to start from about 30,000 feet up and look at the massive global macro perspective.
So the video game industry sits squarely in what economists call the quaternary sector. Now, this isn't just about churning out a physical product on an assembly line. This is a highly complex, incredibly knowledge-intensive segment of the economy. We're talking cutting-edge research, massive technological development, and amazingly specialized talent. The games industry literally influences everything from education and architecture to healthcare and cinema. It's a defining cultural and economic force in our world today.
Just look at the absolute towering dominance of these top 5 companies. Tencent leads the pack with that mind-blowing $35.7 billion, followed closely by the traditional console heavyweights, Sony and Xbox. Then Nintendo and NetEase round out the top 5. What's absolutely fascinating here is the geographical split. These dominant forces are concentrated almost entirely in China, Japan, and the United States. But to understand how these giants operate, we actually need to look at how smaller ecosystems can completely disrupt the board.
Section 2. Finland's mobile game boom. To see that disruption in action, we're going to zoom all the way in on our global map, landing right in Helsinki, Finland, back in the early 2010s.
Check out how explosive this regional growth was. By late 2012, Finland suddenly had 150 active gaming companies. And get this, 40% of those were startups established within just the previous 2 years. This was not some slow, steady build. It was an overnight boom that produced some of the most recognizable global entertainment icons of the 21st century. Think Rovio's Angry Birds and Supercell's Clash of Clans. This ecosystem was moving so insanely fast that the industry turnover, which was around 250 million euros in 2012, was projected to skyrocket to 1.49 billion euros by 2020.
So you have to ask, why Finland? And why right then? Well, it was a perfect storm. First, the digital distribution revolution, specifically Apple's App Store, completely bypassed the old brick-and-mortar retail gatekeepers. This gave Finnish games instant global reach. Second, Finland already had a highly tech-savvy population and a world-class education system. But crucially, they had deep mobile know-how, mostly inspired by the legacy of Nokia. All of this latent talent and infrastructure suddenly found a brand new outlet, and it just spread like wildfire.
Section 3. The free-to-play revolution. Let's move to and see how this builds, because having the right environment is one thing, but finding the right business model, that's what actually unlocks billion-dollar growth.
This quote perfectly captures the huge strategic advantage these Finnish startups seized. By focusing entirely on mobile, the barriers to entry just plummeted. You didn't need a 100-person team and years of development time anymore. Small, agile teams could innovate, fail fast, and eventually strike absolute gold with highly accessible mobile games.
But at the exact same time, Finnish developers who were trying to build traditional, massive AAA console games like Bugbear's Ridge Racer were feeling a massive resource squeeze. Competing with those global giants required a very specific, huge pool of professionals that a small country like Finland just struggled to provide all at once. So, here we see the fundamental clash of the 2010s gaming economy. On one side, you've got the free-to-play mobile model, low budget, generating continuous revenue through microtransactions, and perfectly suited for small, fast-moving regional startups. On the other side, premium AAA, demanding immense resources, astronomical budgets, and massive teams. For a long time, these felt like two completely different universes. But, as we know, the industry never stops evolving.
Section 4, China's AA premium breakout. Let's fast forward to 2024. We're jumping from Helsinki all the way over to Shenzhen, China, to witness a massive industry plot twist that blurs the lines between those two contrasting worlds. Enter the absolute disruptor, Black Myth Wukong. Developed by the Chinese studio Game Science, it's an action RPG based on the classic novel Journey to the West. But the real story here isn't just the game itself, it's the incredible trajectory of the studio behind it. Game Science transitioned from mobile game development to creating a world-class premium AAA title for PC and PlayStation 5, and they were backed by heavyweights like Tencent. They completely bridged the gap.
And this brilliantly illustrates how they broke into the global mainstream. Look at these launch numbers. Upon release, Black Myth Wukong hit over 2.2 million peak concurrent users on Steam within 24 hours. No way, right? That makes it the most popular single-player game by concurrent users in the platform's entire history, second overall only to the multiplayer giant PUBG.
To truly put that hype into perspective, check out this staggering number. On launch day, Steam's download bandwidth peaked at 79.3 terabits per second, with Asia accounting for 82% of it. That is an insane amount of data. It absolutely shattered the previous record set by Cyberpunk 2077. This wasn't just a successful launch, it was a literal digital earthquake. Section 5. Shifting Gamer Preferences. So you might be wondering, how did a premium, single-player, console, and PC game find such world-breaking success, especially when driven by a domestic Chinese market that historically just didn't play these types of games? The context here makes this even more shocking. So the crucial point is this. Going into 2024, nearly 90% of total player spending in China was on free-to-play games, mostly mobile. Premium games made up a measly 10%. Black Myth Wukong shattered global records by succeeding in a market that, historically speaking, didn't even buy the type of product they were selling. But the ground had actually been shifting quietly for a decade. The overturning of China's console ban in 2014 kind of planted the seed. Crucially, Chinese gamers maintained access to the international version of Steam without needing a VPN. Combine that easy access with high-quality offerings, localized payment methods, and regional pricing, and you end up with a consumer base whose appetite for premium, high-fidelity gaming was rapidly maturing. They were essentially just waiting for a localized cultural masterpiece to ignite that demand. Section 6. The Future of Global Gaming. As we zoom back out to look at the global landscape today, the broader implications of this shift are massive for the quaternary sector. What's totally fascinating is how these new AAA giants still heavily leverage the massive ecosystems native to their home regions. On launch day, Black Myth Wukong pulled in 29 million viewers across Chinese live streaming platforms like Bilibili, Douyu, and Tuya. Over $1 million was tipped to streamers just on day one. They successfully merged the prestige and scale of a global premium AAA release with the hyper-engaged, highly monetized live streaming culture that's dominant in the East. So our tour brings us to this incredible contrast. Back in the early 2010s, success for emerging regions meant utilizing small, agile startups to capitalize on low-budget mobile ecosystems, exactly like we saw in Finland. But by 2024, success looks entirely different. Now, it's heavyweight-backed studios from those exact same historically mobile-first regions mastering high-budget, global, AAA releases that directly challenge the established Western and Japanese titans. The global gaming ecosystem is no longer neatly divided into mobile developers over here and AAA console developers over there. Those lines have been completely erased. The talent pools are merging, and the business models are constantly evolving. So as we watch these massive markets collide globally, the only question left for us to wonder is who will build the next billion-dollar world? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you found this journey as fascinating as I did. Keep learning, and I'll catch you on the next one.